Now question time for the Minister for the Economy, and I call Steve Aiken. Minister.
My predecessor identified the aerospace sector as a strategic sub-sector in the Advanced Manufacturing Materials and Engineering Action Plan, which was published last year. This sector offers strong growth potential, and the Action Plan sets out a range of activities, including investment in people, skills, innovation, trade and investment and collaboration, which aim to support the growth of the sector and help provide high-quality, high-productivity jobs across the region. InvestNI's dedicated aerospace team works closely with the sector. The team provides advice, guidance and support to companies to help them create good jobs, improve productivity, increase export growth and support net zero ambitions. InvestNI also partners with DBT and the sector trade body ADS to showcase the sector capability internationally and help companies explore export opportunities in new markets.
Thank you, Minister. Steve Aiken.
Thank you very much indeed. And may I thank the Minister for her remarks so far. And I meant to make a declaration of interest as the Chair of the All-Party Group on ADS. Minister, you will be aware of the importance of apprenticeships, and indeed we have the apprenticeship meeting of ADS here last week within the Assembly. But there are real issues with apprenticeship training schemes and the ability of our further education sector to support those apprenticeship training schemes. And one of the reasons for that is the lack of support coming through from organisations like InvestNI to be able to remove these bottlenecks. Could the Minister say what she's going to do to try and sort out these bottlenecks and actually to make sure our apprenticeships are capable of delivery?
I thank the member for that, and I think one of the issues that cuts across all of what we're trying to achieve economically is skills, and having people be able to access appropriate skills and training is certainly a priority for me. Just this morning I attended the launch of the Economic Policy Centre update of the Skills Barometer, which set out the trajectory for the next 10 years. So certainly it's something I'm happy to take away and engage with both the member and InvestNI and further education colleges on.
Pat Sheehan for supplementary.
Can the Minister provide an assurance that InvestNI does not support projects that help arm Israel?
Sir. Well, first of all, I think it's important to say no government should be arming Israel. InvestNI have assured me that they do not support projects that arm Israel, and no evidence has been presented to the contrary. However, I have asked InvestNI to review its investments to make absolutely sure that this is the case. It's important that I, as Economy Minister, and the general public are reassured on this matter.
Thank you. Brian Kingston for supplement.
Madam Principal Deputy Speaker, I thank the Minister for answers so far. The Minister will be aware that the Spirit Aerosystems are a major employer in Northern Ireland, and also that there is potential interest from other companies. Will the Minister be doing all she can to ensure that the entire operation here will have a viable future?
And I thank the member for his question. My predecessor has engaged with senior representatives from both Boeing and Airbus regarding the sale of Spirit's local operation, and my officials and I will be continuing to engage with all interested parties, including with TEO, the British Government, the business and other stakeholders, to ensure the best possible outcome for the operation here in the North. Obviously, there's commercial negotiations are ongoing, so it's inappropriate for me to comment any further in relation to those at this point.
I call Jerry Kelly.
Question 2, please.
Minister.
All departments' budgets are extremely challenging, as I'm sure the member will be aware. The Executive's fiscal position is extremely difficult due to years of underfunding from the British Government. Indeed, my department's resource baseline for 2025-26 is 5% less than for 2020-21. DFE has £83 million of resource pressures after the additional allocation of £24.9 million, which leaves a funding shortfall of £58 million. DFE was allocated £150 million capital for general allocation. Bids of £145.7 million could not be met as a result. Nevertheless, I will work within the budget available to deliver the best outcomes for the economy and for our citizens.
Jerry Kelly for supplementary.
All that said, more specifically, could you tell me what impact will your budget settlement have on the McGee expansion, please?
As the member will know, McGee is one of the top priorities for me and is an executive priority. And while the budget settlement is extremely challenging, this is an area that I have prioritised.
Kate Nicholl for supplementary.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister. With the ongoing reviews of both FE and HE student support, how is the Department planning to build in potential budget required to fund any uplifts to Learns grants and any other support? Thank you.
Minister.
And as I mentioned in my response to Mr Aiken earlier, skills and access to education is a key priority for me. So this is an area that when I'm looking at the draft budget allocation that I am trying to put as much funding as possible into to ensure that we are able to deliver in terms of that education and training and those priorities that we do have in that area. Obviously, we are still going through the budget at the moment and we'll have further to say on that in coming weeks.
Call Matthew O'Toole.
Thank you, Madam Principal Deputy Speaker. Obviously, slightly surreal situation here, Minister. You are saying the budget isn't high enough that you yourself gave the department you're now in charge of, and indeed you're saying the budget's down from 2021 when your predecessor, now Senator Murphy, was Finance Minister. So there's a slight irony there. But in relation to the budget you have now, there's £50 million underspent in financial transactions capital. Your department, more than any other, is one that should be and could be making more use of that. Not much seemed to be done in the Finance Department.
Yes,
what do you as Economy Minister want to do with that unused FTC, and will we see plans brought forward from you?
Minister.
I see no contradiction in my position in terms of what I was saying previously and what I'm saying now. I think that the consistent message is we have been underfunded and we need to be properly funded based on our level of need to be able to deliver for all our citizens. The member might be aware from previous presentations in my previous role to the Finance Committee that in actual fact the bids for financial transaction capital in the coming year are up on previous years and we will be able to hopefully fully utilise what is available to us. But that being said, it is an area obviously I think all departments have more to do, and certainly in my new role I will be seeking to do that.
Call Maurice Bradley.
Deputy Speaker, and thank you, Minister, for your answers so far. Minister, can I ask you what funding you have set aside for the Korean campus of the University of Ulster, considering it's your hometown?
So the member, as I have mentioned in previous responses, access to education and skills is a top priority for us, and I will be working with Ulster University in respect of their plans for across all their campuses. As the member will also be aware, universities are autonomous institutions and it's for them to make decisions as to how they spend their money, and I will be absolutely committed to the Korean campus, as the member will also be very aware is my hometown as well as his.
I call her Leah Flynn.
For a tree, let a hole.
So we continue to make positive progress around community wealth building, and the 9 recommendations outlined in the 2022 Community Wealth Building Report that I am responsible for taking forward. Along with my colleagues, the Minister of Finance and the Minister for Communities, I will be meeting the Development Trust and Community Wealth Building Partnerships in coming weeks to discuss progress on the recommendations. Relating to Recommendation 1, Minister Murphy created the Social Enterprise Co-Design Group tasked with developing a 3-year action plan which launched on the 4th of December 2024. Already 25 social enterprise champions are in place across Invest NI, Intertrade Ireland and all local councils, and I am committed to prioritising the implementation of this plan. In August, my department published significant research on the benefits and potential of growth of employee ownership models in line with Recommendation 4. For Recommendation 10, a credit union working group was established to improve the legislative framework for credit unions, and this work will be completed within this mandate.
Leah Flynn for supplementary.
Yes, thanks very much, and I thank the Minister for that response. Could the Minister maybe detail in terms of how her department intends to support the uptake of the real living wage, please?
Payment of the real living wage is a key element of a good job. Department of Economy gives financial support, and my department provides £125,000 per year to the full-time living wage franchise here to encourage uptake of the real living wage and provide accreditation for here in the North for the first time. A consultation on proposals for updating our employment law framework has recently been completed, and this will inform a Good Jobs Bill. The Department for Economy has also commissioned research on the implications of setting new minimum wage levels here. This obviously is a reserved matter, and in order to take it forward, it would require executive agreement for which the First and Deputy First Minister would need to formally seek the British Government's agreement to make the necessary legislation to bring devolution into effect.
I call Mark Durkin for a supplementary.
Can the Minister outline how the measures she outlined in her initial answer will specifically benefit the North West Community Wealth Building Partnership and the unique challenges of our region?
Minister.
And I thank the member for his good wishes. Community wealth building, I certainly believe, has a really important role to play in creating a more regionally balanced economy, and I welcome the collaborative approach that is being taken by both Larne and the North West Community Wealth Building Partnerships. Recognise the huge potential of this pilot, which could have for other initiatives also across the North, and there does need to be that really strong, I suppose, interdepartmental approach to these issues, but the member will be aware and I assume be supportive of the intent behind community wealth building partnerships is to utilise the expertise and the institutions in local areas and to develop the local economy. So I think there's huge potential in that, working with the local economic partnerships that are just being set up as well, and it's a piece of work that I am quite excited about taking forward, and I think that there is a lot of potential in.
Thank you, Minister. I call Cheryl Brownlee.
NISRA's Labour Force Survey reported that in 2023, approximately 40% of people here aged 16 to 64 held a qualification at level 4 or above. East Antrim compares favourably to this with a rate of over 43%. I am committed to continuing the work of my predecessor in addressing sub-regional disparities, such as in tertiary education attainment rates across the North. Last October, my department published a sub-regional economic plan. This is a locally led approach which places regional balance at its heart and enshrines partnership working. As part of this plan, 11 new local economic partnerships are being created. These partnerships will identify local economic priorities, and my department will work collaboratively to deliver these. The partnerships have also dedicated funding of £45 million to help pump prime projects.
Thank you, Minister. I call Chair Burnley for a supplementary.
Thank you, Madam Principal Deputy Speaker, and thank you to the Minister for her answer. Just in terms of that, I recognise the rate, but how is your department supporting people with disabilities or special educational needs to ensure that they also have the opportunity to gain this education and support at this level?
Minister.
I thank the member for that question, and I think it's a really important issue that we need to address, and certainly one that I am committed to taking forward. I think ensuring that skills and training and education opportunities are available to everybody regardless of their ability is really important, and in particular in relation to apprenticeships. Last week was Apprenticeship Week, and I had the opportunity to go out and to meet some of the training providers and some of the mostly young people that were partaking in those, and one of the key things that we have put a focus on is exactly that, ensuring that there are opportunities for people with disabilities, for women, for people from less disadvantaged or from more disadvantaged backgrounds to take up those opportunities. So it's a piece of work that I think there is a focus on, but one that we will continue to have.
Thank you, Minister. I call Cathy Mason for supplementary.
I thank the Minister for her answers. Can I ask, Minister, how is the Skills Fund in particular supporting education attainment rates across the North?
The Skills Fund, which aligns with the economic vision, is already supporting a range of initiatives. This includes a new Skill Up programme, which aims to develop our workforce in priority sectors for those aged 18 and older eligible to work here. Skill Up courses range from entry level to level 7, are fully funded and are primarily delivered online, allowing for access across all regions. The Skills Fund is also focused on ensuring there is support for those with additional barriers to access learning and employment. A number of new initiatives are being supported to provide training and additional support to individuals who have barriers to work and training. This includes programmes targeting those who are disabled or neurodiverse and have barriers to entering employment or learning. And additional funding has been provided for a series of women returner initiatives to help individuals use learning to gain the confidence and skills to re-enter the workplace.
Thank you, Minister. I call Sinead McLaughlin for supplementary.
Thank you. And Minister, can I wish you all the very best in your new role and look forward to working with you. Minister, do you agree that without legislation to mandate a fair, regionally balanced higher education policy, we will continue to see unequal provision of third-level education across the North?
I think that the work that is being done through the local economic partnerships and the particular focus that we have put on the development of the Magee campus and ensuring that we reach the target of 10,000 students and the task force that was put in place to report in relation to that has been really positive and constructive. Certainly I think that our further education college infrastructure is also really important to ensuring that we have regionally balanced educational opportunities. So it's something I think that there is more work to be done on, certainly, but that we can absolutely deliver upon.
I call Jonathan Buckley.
Speaker, question number 5.
In January, my department launched the Tourism Vision and Action Plan, outlining 17 actions to drive sustainable, regionally balanced economic growth in the sector. Delivery will be overseen by the Tourism Partnership Board. Actions include incorporating local regions into Fáilte Ireland's regional brands, developing peace tourism, ensuring an adequate mix of accommodation right across the north, developing skills in the industry, development of destination stewardship plans, and restoring appropriate funding to Tourism Ireland to increase tourism revenue from overseas. It recently launched exciting international marketing campaigns for 2025. 2025 also sees the return of the Open Championship to Portrush, bringing hundreds of thousands of visitors, showcasing our beautiful landscape to 500 million households across 150 countries. Tourism NI will work alongside Invest NI to maximise the benefits to act as a catalyst for future economic investment.
Jonathan Buckley for supplementary.
Thank you. We know that tourism is crucial to the Northern Ireland economy, and we know that the Northern Ireland tourist offering faces particular challenges when competing with the Republic of Ireland, who are sitting on VAT of 9%. So with that in mind, how on earth is it appropriate that Northern Ireland Tourism's website for its marketing campaign and spring marketing toolkit has placed the Republic of Ireland and its offering before and more prominently throughout the Northern Ireland? Is the Minister aware of this? She's a Minister for Tourism in Northern Ireland. Will she ensure that her department reflects that reality?
Minister.
And Tourism Ireland is responsible for marketing the entire island of Ireland, and I am aware that one of your colleagues had asked a written question on this matter, so I will share the answer with the member.
Excuse me. Kelly Armstrong for supplementary.
Thank you, and thank you, Minister, and congratulations on your new post. As Sinead has said, I look forward to working with you as well. Minister, you've mentioned the Open. One of the things about the Open and bringing so many tourists into the area is the pressure that it can put on accommodation and public transport. Can I ask what discussions you have had with the Minister for Infrastructure to ensure that there is enough public transport and it's accessible as well? Thank you.
And I thank the member for her good wishes and for the question. And being from the North Coast, it's something I'm particularly aware of and have had engagement locally with the Council and others in respect of. I haven't yet had the opportunity to engage with the Minister for Infrastructure, but I will be more than happy to do so. And I think that it is a huge opportunity, and it does bring a lot of visitors, but it is also important that we provide a good experience, and I am sure that we are all committed to doing that.
Gemma Dolan for supplementary.
And I thank the Minister for her answers so far. Minister, can you provide an update on including the North in Falch Ireland's regional brands?
Incorporating areas of the North into Falch Ireland's regional brands is a key driver to deliver regional economic growth, as well as a key action as part of my department's Tourism Vision and Action Plan. Tourism NI is working collaboratively with councils and operators to determine how broadening the reach of these brands should encourage greater numbers of people to visit, whether they're visiting from the south or whether they are international tourists that are visiting Ireland. Falch Ireland's regional experience branding will represent an additional opportunity for our tourism industry to build on the success of Embrace a Giant Spirit campaigns, with different brands targeting different market segments. I anticipate significant progress on the inclusion of the Fermanagh Lakelands into the Ireland Hidden Heartlands brand in coming weeks.
I call Justin McNulty for supplementary.
I thank the Minister for her answers thus far. And further to the previous question, the Minister will know that I, along with my colleagues on Urrymore Down and Armagh Bridge, Craigavon councils, have led the charge in relation to extending the Ireland's East Tourism brand into counties Armagh and Down. What has the Minister done, and what are our plans for the rest of the mandate in terms of extending this important tourism brand into the north? And can you provide details on the Wild Atlantic Way tourism brand as well, please?
Minister.
And I thank the member for his question, and there is progress being made in relation to all three of the brands, and I'd be happy to write to the member with further details in relation to Ireland's Ancient East specifically, but also Wild Atlantic Way and the joining up with the Causeway Coastal route.
Philip Brett.
My officials continue to work closely with the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government through a joint working group to co-design the North's £150 million Enhanced Investment Zone programme. The development of the programme must follow an MHCLG pre-agreed staged approval process. The target for final approval is autumn 2025. Key to securing approval at each stage is clear demonstration that investment zone funding will drive productivity and leverage significant private sector funding. Over coming months, officials will consult closely with the private sector and other stakeholders as we refine the proposition in line with my objectives, which include regional balance.
Philip Brett for supplementary.
Madam Principal Deputy Speaker, but I must say I am hugely disappointed. This £150 million fund was announced 12 months ago, and seemingly all we've had is engagement at official level. Minister, I know you've only taken up post, but we need political engagement to push this funding forward. We talk about a lack of funding here in the Assembly and the Executive. There's £150 million sitting ready to be spent. So can you please state what action you as Minister will take and not officials?
And I thank the member for his response, but as the member will know, navigating some of these programmes is bureaucratic and lengthy, and I think the experience we've had earlier in the City Deals process is testament to that. Obviously, we do put political weight behind these things, we do make progress, and I will certainly be doing that and engaging myself and seeking updates from officials in relation to the progress on the Enhanced Investment Zone so far. But I do think that significant progress is being made, and it has been good engagement, but obviously there is a process to be followed and certain approvals that have to be required at each stage of that, but certainly I think there is huge potential for this right across the north.
Nicola Brogan for supplementary.
Thank the Minister for her answer, and I welcome her to her new ministerial role. Can the Minister outline if tax reliefs are expected to be part of the enhanced investment zones as a whole?
And I thank the member for her question and good wishes. The tax reliefs do remain an option, but due to the complexity of modelling the tax relief itself and the need to change legislation that would be required, I think it's unlikely to form part of the overall programme, but I think there will be sufficient alternative interventions that can be delivered more quickly and efficiently that will deliver the outcomes that we wish to see.
Call Peter Martin.
Question 7, Madam Principal Deputy Speaker.
Industrial land is an important element of our investment proposition, as it can enable the establishment and growth of locally owned businesses and attract inward investors. Invest NI's total land holding is 2,700 acres, the majority of which has been sold and developed. Since 2020, Invest NI has sold approximately 208 acres of its land, which has facilitated the expansion of 62 businesses. Invest NI currently has 475 acres of land available to support business investment. However, there are some areas where this is limited or there is no supply of available industrial land, and we are working to address that in partnership with local stakeholders through the Regional Property Programme. This 10-year programme gives a clear commitment to partnership working at a local level to identify specific industrial land and property needs.
Peter Martin for supplementary.
Thank you very much, Minister. I just want to point out to you that there is industrial land at Bellew South in Bangor, which is owned by Invest NI and has been left undeveloped for about 10 years. I can't hold you responsible for that. I know many businesses in North Down, however, would want this issue progressed. Will the Minister commit to meeting local stakeholders, as she sort of indicated in her answer, including Ards and North Down Borough Council, to take this matter forward?
And I'm aware of the issue in relation to Bellew South, and that there has been no land sold there in the past 10 years. Invest NI will, however, continue to market the estate as an attractive investment location and pursue property interest from those businesses that meet its intervention criteria. There is land still available at Bellew South, and I think the Regional Property Programme does give that commitment to partnership working to identify land and property needs, and Invest NI is happy to explore those development opportunities, and I'm happy to engage in conversations in relation to that.
David Honeyford for supplementary.
Deputy Speaker, I know about land. I'm more interested in the Invest NI development jobs and economic growth in there. But can I ask the Minister, surely with your market access, where we're selling products, we should be focused on expanding manufacturing industry and providing the land to enable that. You've highlighted the property programme, but I just want to highlight my own constituency of Lagan Valley. We're on the Belfast-Dublin economic corridor, yet we have next to no Invest NI land left. What can the Minister do to address this and help bring jobs and investment, not just in Belfast but outside?
Minister.
And I think that through the Regional Property Programme, there is that commitment to that working at local level to try and identify land and property, and to work with local partners in relation to that. But I do take the member's point, and that we should be maximising the potential that we do have in relation to our access to both markets, and to encouraging our manufacturers to be able to take those opportunities. So I think that it is important that that's something that we put a focus on.
Ms. Sheeran, very quickly.
Minister, can I ask what steps Invest NI are taking to develop industrial land in Mid-Ulster?
1 minute, Minister, to respond.
I thank the member for her question and good wishes. I'm aware of proposals to develop Desert Crete, and the opportunity that this site offers to deliver much needed industrial land in the Mid-Ulster area. I understand that Invest NI have been working with the Council to assist that development of their proposals for the site, and that work is ongoing.
Thank you, Minister. That ends listed questions. We're now moving on to topical questions, and I call Sinead McLaughlin.
Minister, can I refer back to a previous question just for clarity? As you're aware, it has been widely reported that Invest NI supports a number of companies involved in the manufacturing of parts for F-35 fighter jets used by Israel in the bombing campaigns that have razed Gaza to the ground. Your predecessor, Conor Murphy, stated that this was not taking place. Do you still stand by what he said?
And I thank the member for her question, and she's quite right. I have already addressed that particular issue. Invest NI have assured me that they do not provide support for projects that arm Israel, and no evidence has been provided to the contrary. But as I indicated to Pat Sheehan earlier on, I have asked Invest NI to review its investments to make absolutely sure that that is the case, because I do think it is important that we have that reassurance.
Sinead McLaughlin for a supplementary.
Thank you, Minister. I'm glad you have given that assurance, and I hope it's true. Minister, the public is rightly outraged that public funding could be used in any way to arm Israel, and will be wanting transparency in this. Can you explain why this confusion has arisen?
And I echo the members' sentiments, and I understand the public sentiment behind it. I think that we all abhor the horrifying scenes that we have seen in Gaza and Palestine over the past year and a half. And I think most right-minded people think that. And I certainly, we have consistently challenged the US, the British government and others who are providing arms for Israel and urging them to suspend all arms sales. But as I have said, we have sought those reassurances from Invest NI and I have been assured that that is the case. And I think it is important that we do get that clarity.
Mr. David Brooks.
Principal Deputy Speaker, the previous member and the Minister certainly don't speak for me on that issue. Could I ask the Minister what engagement she has undertaken with the Trump administration or the State Department around encouraging the appointment of a special economic envoy for Northern Ireland?
Minister.
And I haven't yet had the opportunity in my role to have engagement with the Consul General here, but I'm sure that I will have in coming days or weeks.
Supplementary.
Thank you, Minister. I'm sure at a time whenever the US is negotiating its economic relationship with other nations, it's perhaps causing concern in the South regards their ongoing operation as a tax haven of sorts. It would be an advantage for us to maintain the relationship that we've had with the United States. Will you be undertaking that engagement, and will you do so in Washington this St. Patrick's Day?
And I'm sure most people recognise that the US is an important market for us. We export over £1 billion worth of goods and services there, so clearly it is an important relationship, and certainly I will be seeking to have that engagement with the US representatives, as I said, in coming days and weeks.
Ciara Ferguson.
Thank you, Principal Deputy Speaker, and can I too wish you well, Minister, in your new role. Skills from entry level right through to level 7 are all hugely important for the economy. Can I ask the Minister for her assessment of the Skills Barometer report which was published this morning?
Minister.
Thank the member for the question, and I was delighted to attend and speak at the launch of the Skills Barometer this morning, and I was encouraged that the sectors that were highest forecasted growth rates in the Skills Barometer align well with my department's 7 priority sectors. However, the Skills Barometer also highlights long-term challenges posed by our ageing population, that quite simply the number of young people coming into the labour market isn't enough to meet the increased demand for jobs, and given that Brexit has limited our ability to attract workers from the EU and British government immigration policy makes it difficult to attract workers full stop, it's vital that we help get more people into work. Also makes it all the more important that we remove barriers cross-border to workers, so that we can access a larger pool of talent across this island. But I think that it's also really important that we are supporting people who face barriers to work, to back into employment. And I noted at the launch of the Skills Barometer this morning that our skills base and opportunities to access skills underpin all of our economic objectives that have been set for the department, and that we really need to be equipping people with the right skills and to be able to deliver upon that.
Ciara Ferguson for a supplementary.
Can I thank the Minister for her answers thus far? Minister, I understand that the Skills Barometer will soon be published at a sub-regional level, which I very much welcome for the constituency, particularly of Foyle and the North West. Does the Minister agree that this will benefit the work of our local economic partnerships and drive towards regional balance?
and I thank the member for that follow-up. And I do think that local economic partnerships will help give us a better understanding of the economic needs and priorities at local areas right across the north. Skills are clearly a critical part of our economic infrastructure, so this information will be really valuable for local partnerships. And once we are equipped with this information, we will be better able to tailor skills interventions to meet those local needs, in turn driving that regional balance. In October 2024, my predecessor launched a sub-regional economic plan, and I'm committed to developing a regionally balanced economy where everybody shares the benefits of prosperity. As you mentioned, your Ulster University Economic Policy Centre do intend to follow up their work on the skills barometer by developing that sub-regional skills barometer in due course, and that will of course give that more detailed analysis of skills profiles and skills deficits at a local level, which will be highly relevant to delivering on our regional balance objective.
Thank you. I call Maurice Bradley.
Deputy Speaker and Minister, it was remiss of me not to welcome you to your post, and I do so now, and I wish you well for the future. But Minister, can you tell me if your department has any financial support in terms of a grant available for homeowners who install solar panels or heat pumps in their homes? It's just that there's a grant across in the mainland of some 7,500, and I was wondering if your department had any plans to introduce the same here in Northern Ireland.
And I thank the member for his good wishes and for his question. There are differences, I suppose, in terms of the structure of the energy markets between here in the north and in Britain, and there are schemes that are provided there that aren't provided here, and likewise, and clearly. Obviously, energy policy has devolved, so we do have the opportunities to respond to the needs of people here locally. As the member will know, the Department for Communities has lead responsibility for fuel poverty and any mitigations that might be put in place to assist with rising fuel costs. Department for Economy assists in that in terms of developing the energy policy. And it's something that I know that the Communities Minister has indicated that he is committed to bringing proposals forward as soon as possible in relation to that particular issue. And I am more than happy to work with him in relation to that.
Maurice Bradley for supplementary.
Thank you very much for your answers, Minister. But surely this is a priority funding stream that should be in place to augment the climate change targets of this Assembly. Such a grant would aid low-income households and become part of the climate change initiative that is in this House.
And I don't disagree with the member in any way in respect of that. Obviously, we have the energy strategy and we have targets that we need to deliver upon that, but also for the people that we all represent and the costs that it has to them. And I think we've all been acutely aware of that over the past number of years when we have faced the cost of living crisis. And we, of course, do have higher levels of fuel poverty here even preceding that. So it is an important piece of work, and I, as I say, will be working in collaboration with the Communities Minister in respect of it.
Thank you. I call Claire Sugden.
Well, Deputy Speaker, and congratulations, Minister, on your new role. I'm really pleased for our constituency. Minister, Ulster University recently expressed an interest in developing a veterinary school at the Korean campus, but they suggested that they would need funding from the Northern Ireland Executive to take that to completion. So will the Minister confirm that she's having these discussions, and will she look to find funding to develop the course at Korean?
Minister.
And I thank the member for her good wishes and also for her question. And as a constituency representative, I have had engagement with Ulster University around these matters, and I know that they are introducing a new veterinary nursing course for the incoming academic year, and I think that's a really positive development. And the conversations around a veterinary school, I suppose, have been going on for some time. I think the Department of Agriculture, Environment and Rural Affairs is leading on that particular issue. So I'm happy to be engaging with the Minister in respect of that.
Claire Sugden for supplementary.
Thank you, and I thank you for the Minister's interest. It doesn't seem like anyone from the Northern Ireland Executive is leading on it, and indeed I have questioned both departments in that respect. Northern Ireland needs a veterinary school, and Corian is the most obvious place for that. So, will the Minister, I suppose, reconfirm that she will commit to that if that's what Ulster University wants?
Minister.
And I thank the member for the follow-up question. And as I said, I as a constituency representative have had those conversations. I haven't yet had the opportunity to be briefed on that matter in my ministerial capacity. Obviously, I'll be happy to do that. And I am happy to work with Ulster University in respect of any proposals that they may have. But clearly, I think there is that need for cross-departmental working on this particular issue as well, and the demonstration of how that can be achieved and affordable.
Connie Egan.
Congratulations, Minister, and I wish you well in your new post. The Northern Ireland Skills Barometer 22 to 23 was published earlier today and identified that we need 5,400 people per annum to fill all vacancies under the high growth scenario. What role does the forthcoming legislation have in encouraging people who are currently economically inactive into work to help fill those gaps?
Minister.
Yeah. And I thank the member for her good wishes and for her question. And as I mentioned earlier, I was at the launch of the Skills Barometer this morning. And I think it's a really important piece of work, really insightful and really useful to a number of different audiences. But for us as policymakers, it does pose some questions to us as well in terms of how we are going to meet those needs in relation to our workforce, when clearly there isn't enough people coming through in terms of qualifications and training pathways. So it is really important that we do touch into those people who face barriers to employment and training, and to try and support them back into pathways and into jobs ultimately. So there is opportunities, I suppose, legislatively, certainly in terms of the policy intent of the Good Jobs Bill, but also the kind of policy initiatives that we will take as well in respect of improving access to pathways and training, and ensuring that there is appropriate support provided.
Connie Egan for follow-up supplementary.
Thank you, Minister. Can I ask you further how you're going to drive productivity within our economy, which has been at persistently low levels over recent years?
Minister.
And I think that is an issue that has been very persistent over a long period of time, that we have performed poorly in relative terms in terms of productivity, and it will require different policy interventions to be able to improve that. Skills is one particular aspect to it, but also ensuring that we are appropriately supporting our businesses in terms of ensuring that there is a policy environment right across the board, whether that's environmental or our business or our employment law as well, to ensure that we are able to support the improvement of productivity. And I think that we have been making progress. I think we have actually outperformed other regions this year in terms of economic growth, but there is clearly ongoing and persistent work that needs to be done in terms of driving productivity.
Sinead Ennis.
And I welcome the fact, Minister, that one of your first acts and posts was to visit Women's Aid, Armagh and Down last week. Does the Minister agree that violence against women and girls is not just a societal issue, but it's also an economic issue as well?
Minister, you have 2 minutes.
And I thank the member for her question, and I was really grateful to Women's Aid Armagh Down for taking the time to meet me. I was hugely impressed by the really dedicated team there, and delighted that expansion or that work has started on an extension to their premises. I completely agree with the member that domestic violence is an economic issue. It undermines women's economic independence, their ability to work, and it's why I believe that all of us have a responsibility to work collectively to end violence against women and girls. I agree violence against women is an economic issue as well as a societal one, and violence against women and domestic abuse have devastating impact on victims and survivors, and it affects all aspects of their lives, including their ability to maintain financial independence and participate in the workplace. And clearly that has a negative impact, therefore, on our economy, on our productivity, on our workforce participation, career progression, all of those issues. And I do believe that it is important that we all play our roles in collectively responding to that challenge of eliminating violence against women and girls.
That ends. Sorry, we've run out of time, Sinead. That's an end to question time, topical questions for the Minister for the Economy. Members just take their ease, please.